Yeah, hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to create a video in the style of, an edit in the style of Herbert Bayer. So I'm just going to look at one of his pictures and see some of the features. Quite surreal, obviously the hands and then the eye, the main subject. The difference between the light and dark is quite strong, so there's a strong contrast between light and dark. So in my pictures, the first thing I need to do is make them black and white. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White, and you can just set that to auto, or you can adjust this yourself. Press OK. Then I need to increase the contrast a little bit. So Image, Adjust Brightness, Contrast. Always click this, use the legacy. I just want to increase the contrast to show more of the texture of the hands. Okay, so maybe a little bit like this. So if I look back at his work, look, there's dark shadows and then really light parts of the hand. That's exactly what I want. So I've got my dark shadows, maybe increase brightness a tiny little bit, like that, and press OK. Next up, I've got my eye picture. I need to do exactly the same to that. So Image, Adjust Black and White, set that to auto, press OK, and then the contrast image, adjust brightness and the contrast. That's already checked. I'm going to tweak that a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so then I've got my two pictures open in Photoshop. All I need to do is drag the eye picture. So I'm clicking and dragging all the way up to this tab. And don't let go until you see this little plus sign. Okay, now the eye picture is absolutely huge compared to the hands picture. So I've got two layers here on the right hand side. So if I press Ctrl T, I'm going to resize the eye. I'm going to drag it from the corner and keep hold of Shift on my keyboard. So I'm pressing Shift, keeping hold and dragging it in from the corner. And I'm going to move it up. Press Shift, drag it in from the corner. And I think roughly that should be about right there. And remember, if you want to move it, you can move it by going near the corners of the photo. When you're happy with that, you can just press Enter. And then remember to show a layer underneath. I need to use a layer mask. So add a layer mask here. This one that's a little rectangle with a circle in it. And remember, when I'm using a layer mask, I use brush tool. So press B for brush. I'm going to make the size a little bit bigger. That's okay, maybe a tiny bit bigger. And the edge of the brush isn't very hard, so I'm going to just make it a little bit harder. Now I'm pressing, but nothing's happening. So remember, if the mask is white here, the brush color needs to be black. So I'm going to set it to black, and you can swap these colors around. So the one at the front needs to be black. You can just press X on your keyboard to swap the two colors. So when the brush is black and the mask is white, you can cut through the mask to show the picture underneath. Okay, now I can see that because my brush is quite big and it's got a soft edge, I'm not going to get a very neat line. But I do want the eye to blend into the hand a little bit. So what I'm going to do is make the edge a bit harder, get a little bit closer, like that. And if I do something wrong, I can press X on my keyboard and make my brush white, and that adds the mask back. Okay, so I've done that a bit wrong, so I'm going to put that back in, and then make my brush a bit smaller, and get that really, really neat. I quite like that little eye crease at the top, so I'm going to leave that in. Okay. And then the other thing you might think about is what type of background to put this onto. Remember, if you want to change the shape of the eye, because it's on a separate layer, all you need to do is press Ctrl T, and you can make it smaller. Need to brush a little bit more away, so just press Enter, set my brush to black, brush that bit away. If I want to move it, I can move it by pressing V on the keyboard. And I could do other things, like I could duplicate that layer, so Ctrl J. So I've got two eyes. I could flip that layer, couldn't I? So I could go Edit, Transform, flip it horizontal, Okay, so you could get something really creepy, and you could be really creative with that. Okay, there you go.